Hey trackies, welcome back to another video. So, the second leg for Grand Slam, Miami, Unseen Sports Center. Unseen, why you do it? Why you do it? Anyway, trackies, the first leg was in Kingston, was fantastic, and that's Kingston, Jamaica. Second leg here, Miami, and boy, when I tell you, the performances were jaw-dropping to say the least. However, in typical T style, I'm gonna have to throw a little cold water on the performances, unfortunately for some of y'all. And yes, I know you're gonna come at me in the comment section. Who cares? Not me, right? So that being said, what a day. What a first day. We have 2 more days to go. But we literally started the day by seeing an American record in the women's 100-meter hurdles. And I was like, say what now? That this was Ansin, guys. So literally, we had Masai Russell come out and run a 12.17 seconds, but she wasn't the only one that did below the American record. We also had Tia Jones run at 12.19. And this was done in a positive 2.0 meters per second win. Of course, we had Akira Nugent from a Jamaican perspective as well in there. She was top three. She ran at 12.34. Bengan Tapa was there as well, and she ran at 12.50 for fifth place. Now, trackies. For me personally, from an execution perspective, I don't think Masai could have done anything wrong. She said she's in a good pocket right now from an execution perspective, and it literally showed. She led the race, well, not necessarily because on the inside Tia was there, challenging in the middle of the race, because I think Masai was leading, and then Tia, got into it, and then Masai, overhauled her at the end, right? Again, for a really, really close finish. But from an execution perspective, I thought, as it relates to Masai, she looked absolutely amazing, executing over those hurdles. And it's one thing about winning an Olympic title, the confidence that you get out of that track is bars none, as far as I'm concerned. However, as I said, I have to throw a little cold water on the performances because, listen, it's early me. I'm May 2nd. When I run American record in a in May, you know what I mean? Unless some of y'all forget, that this is it is an American record, but this is unseen, right? And this is the same track that Shakira Richardson opened her season in 2023. Unless some of y'all forgetting, April, first 100-meter race of the season, and she clocked, guess what? 10.5. Yeah, man, she run 10.5 in that April. At the same Ansin, yeah. That same Ansin Sports Center, yeah. So, you see, when it comes to, the track, the times that you get off this track, like I literally take it with a grain of salt sometimes. I well, not sometimes, all the time. I literally just look at how they're pretty much trending and go from there. So my rough estimation is given the performances that I saw, because she was well ahead, and herself and Tia Jones, they were well ahead of Akira, right? So was literally giving me like a 12-3, like a solid 12-3. So guess what, hold my feet to the fire and let's see what they actually clock the next time around when they do compete. Though I do, believe that all American tracks are fast. Some of them just faster than others. Sometimes you get better conditions, on others. And this is one of the tracks where sometimes the conditions are just, too superb. We're talking about a positive 2.0 meters per second wind. It can't get any more perfect than that. You know what I mean? So new American record, time holds, guys. The time holds, the time stands. But as it relates to her progress, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not necessarily believing that I'm going to be seeing her clocking maybe low 12.2s the next time I see her, or continuing clocking 12.1s. I do believe that this was possibly like a solid 12.3-ish, right? 12.3 mid, and it has nothing to do with times. That's just my guesstimation given what I've seen from her already and where she could potentially be, considering that again, progress through the season, right? So yeah, that's what I'm gonna say for Masai and this particular race as well. And yeah, it goes for everybody in the race. So for as it relates to Akira Nugent, clearly not taking things as fast as a Masai, or not in the same level of shape that a Masai is, and that's fine. We're still pretty early on. She has to focus on the Jamaican trials and then get to clearly the World Championships. My only thing is, and this is something that I noticed from a Jamaican perspective, Jamaicans tend to complain about this a lot online. Again, as I said, only Jamaicans hear it, because outside of that, the commentary sounds good. They don't really mention the Jamaicans that much. You know what I mean? So me need Akira. I mean, also someone are gonna say me a pressure, but me need her for medal. Me need her for medal because I'm so tired of listening to this commentary and not hear them mention Akira like she's not even there, like she's just a puff of smoke. Like I'm like, okay, I'm over this. I'm so over this. But yeah, she has to win medals. Medals are so important. So, guys, I'm calling her for her winning a medal clearly because I believe she has the capability to do so. So I'm not really pressuring her, but I need her in the conversation as well, and I want her to show the world how good she really is. And to do that, she has to be, a part of the medal conversation and medal. I mean, so hopefully, once we get to Japan, we'll see, these athletes turn up and do something great, which includes an Akira Nugent. Strangely enough, I remember last year when I was covering the Olympics and I was looking at the field and how well the athletes were performing. Well, before we got there, I said, hey, 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 guess what? For the women's 100-meter hurdles, we can have two finals. We can have two finals. So those semifinals to get into the finals can be two finals. You know what I mean? That's literally how I thought. And the girls have taken it up a notch in 2025. They look, that much better. Even though it's still early, you can see the intent and the hunger and the drive and the intensity from them and everyone wanting to prove that they're the best, right? So my expectation is, barring injury and setbacks, that we're gonna see a crazy Japan World Championship final in this women's 100-meter hurdles, and it's gonna be one for the history books as far as I'm concerned. I think it's gonna be that good. And the last time I checked too, their talks are, I remember the Olympic Games back in 2021 where a lot of people were saying the track is fast there. I remember after Elaine was, clocking those ridiculous times, everybody was like, the track is fast, the track is fast. So if it's another fast track and we have athletes in the best shape of their life, maybe the world record will be on, for then. But for now, I had to throw like a cold water on, but outside of that, I still thought it was a brilliant execution from Masai Russell. Now let's jump into the women's 100 meters, where we had Melissa Jefferson run at 10.75 to win. We had Tamari Davis just opening her season running at 10.79, and Favor Ophelia running at 10.94 for third. Now this was done in a positive 2.4 meters per second wind, so it was above the allowable, not legal. But track is okay. These athletes are not in 10-7 shape. I don't care what you all want to say to me. I thought Melissa executed fantastic, right? She looked really good. I remember even looking at the overhead front view of her, and I was like, wow, she's a really strong technical sprinter. That was my view watching her. But yeah, I'm roughly gauging this performance as a 10.9 ish. That's my view. Again, crucify me if you want in the comment section. I'm thinking about what happened in Kingston and natural progression. I'm not thinking that these athletes just randomly jumped to 10.7. No, I'm not thinking that. But still, great performances nonetheless. In the women's 400 meters, I heard them saying that the conditions, deteriorated as the evening progressed. So the times in the 400 weren't as good, but Marlady Paulino comes out and takes the win. She runs a season best 49.21. Salwa was second, 49.33. And Alexis Holmes was third, 50.36. I have to say, Alexis is very, very consistent. I love that about her. One thing about Alexis, she's going to give you a consistent running, regardless of where, she's competing or who she's competing against. She's always someplace there, right? So I love that about her. When it comes to Salwa and Mary Lady, listen, it can go either way when it comes to these athletes, right? One has a really strong start. Well, I do think Salwa just runs mad ridiculous the whole race. And, Marley, pretty much stronger finish. But for this one, Marley, trumped her. And that's how competition goes. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. I don't really want to say, anything bad happened to any one athlete in the race while the other one. That's just how competition goes, guys. Sometimes another athlete will win. And Marley DePaulino is the Olympic champion as well. So she has, all that behind her. So she's no fluke athlete as well. So good showing from them. From a Jamaican perspective, Nikisha Price and also Stacy they were fifth and sixth. Nikisha ran a season's best 50.71 and Stacy ran a 50.76. It's progress from Nikisha, so I can't complain. I'm realizing that the Jamaicans are taking it pretty slow in the 400 meters this season, so I'm just waiting. You know what I mean? Clearly they have to be ready for trials, so I'm expecting them to be ready for trials. This is just them dress rehearsing for that particular point in time, so I don't really have any complaints. I was really interested to see what Isabella Whitaker was gonna do. She's seemingly gone pro now, right? She ran that ridiculous, I don't remember the time actually, but she ran a ridiculous indoor time recently, I believe just behind what's that girl from Netherlands name? Anyway, really, really ridiculous time recently. So I was interested in that 400 meters. But She was fourth, 50.38. So, getting her foot wet from a professional standpoint. Let's see how she progresses. But Arkansas had a whole host of people here, competing well from the professional side, right? Since most of them are not professional athletes. Well, all of them are professional athletes. Now, let's jump over into the final event that I want to touch, and that is the men's 400-meter hurdles. No surprise here. Alicia Dos Santos walks away with the win, 47.97 seconds. Malik was third, which is good for him, 49.43. Puts him in the conversation when it comes to that money. Let's see if he can challenge for some more money this week. Unfortunately, Rashawn Clark pulled up in the race. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it's nothing too serious. He has enough time to get healthy and turn up at trials, be in the conversation when we talk about making it to a world championship final. When it comes to medaling, it's always gonna tough. You have to get past the likes of Karsten, Rai, and clearly Allison. So it's gonna take a mountainous task to get past those athletes. So I'm not really expecting our athletes to medal per se, but just make it to finals and put themselves in the mix. So he's one to clearly keep an eye on, young, fresh, and ready to go, ready to rumble. So don't really want him to have any major setbacks. And if it is, definitely wishing him speedy recovery. Absolutely. I never want to see any athlete, and I always tell you that, guys, it's whether it's Jamaican or anybody else, I never like to see anybody go down with an injury. So hopefully, as I said, it's nothing too serious. Maybe it's just a cramp. All right, so guys, that is it when it comes to my review on the first day from the Grand Slam track league or track Grand Slam in Miami. That leg first day. Again, I threw some cold water on the performances, but I do think the executions were awesome as far as I'm concerned. You all can hold, as I said, my feet to the fire. I don't know, what I'm gonna do if I'm wrong. Maybe y'all can give me a suggestion in the comment section below. But yeah, next time around when we see these athletes compete, the Masais, the Jeffersons, what will the performances look like? And I think that will be a better indication of where they actually are in their season, and not necessarily these times that we saw clocked at the Miramar, Anson, sorry, at the Anson Sports Center, right? So let me know your thoughts. As I said, like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.